In the Academy Award-winning documentary, The Fog of War, 11 Lessons from the Life of Robert S. McNamara, the former dignitary in the Kennedy and Johnson administrations reveals what he learned about the war and foreign policy during his political career. Lesson 1. Empathize with your enemy. McNamara makes his point through an account of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. He begins by describing the dilemmas faced by the Kennedy administration. Should they use military force to take out Soviet nuclear weapons that would be pointed at 90 million Americans from Cuban soil? And if they attempted to do so, would the Russians press the nuclear button? One of Kennedy's advisors, Tommy Thompson, knew Khrushchev personally. He argued that Khrushchev was unlikely to attack. Thompson said, "The important thing for Khrushchev, it seems to me, is to be able to say, 'I saved Cuba. I stopped invasion.'" Luckily, Kennedy followed Thompson's advice, and catastrophe was averted. Empathy, for McNamara, was a strategic weapon of the Cold War. If you understand your enemy better than they understand you, then you are more likely to be victorious. We must try to put ourselves inside their skin and look at us through their eyes, just to understand the thoughts that lie behind their decisions and their actions. Lesson number 6. Get the data. Millions of important decisions are made by the State and Defense Department and military service members every day. If those decisions are not rooted in data, they are not rooted in fact. They are instead rooted in our biases. Data is the basis for intelligent decision-making, and as such, we should strive to accumulate that as much as possible. However, data is only as reliable as those who compile and analyze it. We make mistakes and frequently allow our biases to corrupt our thought processes. For example, McNamara's data-driven assumption was that there was a finite number of communist Vietnamese, and that if we used the number of enemy killed, we could accurately measure our progress. Unfortunately, we were higher on paper than in reality. The military reported these numbers to political leaders, who reported them to the media, which reported them to the people. Suddenly, the American people believed the Viet Cong was in defeat. Data must be viewed skeptically with a critical eye if it is to be used properly. Data can be deceptive, but is essential to good decision-making. If we do not get the data, we cannot make good decisions. We're just taking shots in the dark, something apt to kill thousands, if not millions, in a nuclear age. Lesson number 11. You can't change human nature. I'm not so naive or simplistic to believe that we can eliminate war. You can't change human nature, and it's not that we are inherently violent. It is that we are bad at making decisions, and war is always an option. The most important thing we can do is learn from whatever mistakes we make. Make a mistake once, but don't make it again. We should also learn from the mistakes of others. History provides infinite resources for those looking to learn from others' mistakes. Although analyzing and interpreting those mistakes can prove challenging, it is better than charging into disaster, especially when nuclear weapons are involved. We should also be reflective and understanding of all the different ways our decision-making processes can be or become flawed. Knowing that we make mistakes and cannot understand the impossibly complex variables in fluid or dangerous situations, we had better do our best to stay out of those situations. Human nature will make it impossible to end war anytime soon, and though we are rational creatures, that rationality has a limit. Some things about war have changed. Its unpredictability has not. Its propensity to spiral out of control has not. Its tendency to grow beyond its planned scope has also not. These things are war, and these things will never change. They only become more dangerous in a nuclear age. You make one mistake, and you're going to destroy nations, Robert McNamara warned. Therefore, we must do everything in our power to avoid mistakes or situations in which mistakes can be made. Anything else will lead to unnecessary death and destruction.